Well, hello there again. This is Reverend Sean over the Center Path, and we're continuing on with the Brahma Viharas. And one of the things I wanted to talk about a little bit, I've been using this at the psychiatric hospital that I teach meditation for mental health at. We've talked about it, but not directly because I don't want to seem like I'm proselytizing at any point. Because we need to discover these things on our own and realize the value and realize that it can be applied to anyone, regardless of your faith or religion or lack thereof or abundance thereof. It really doesn't matter because we can find these same concepts in any of the religions and prove me wrong. Tell me that we can't find loving kindness, we can't find compassion, we can't find sympathetic joy in some way, or even equanimity, which is the realization that we're all the same and that everything is all existing at the same time, although impermanent and ever changing, right? Just like us. So I want to go over the fourth one actually today. So the Brahma Viharas were taken from Hinduism. Actually, the Brahma, remember we talked about that guy, which I have a statue up here, is the four-faced, deity. He's got multiple arms and all this kind of stuff because he's the great multitasker. And the four Brahma Viharas are again, right? Metta, which is loving kindness, Karuna, which is compassion, and then we have mudita, which is sympathetic joy, which is being happy for other people when things go well. This is a really good one to do in group therapy, by the way, because when you're having group therapy, they always go to other groups too, and they may hear really good stories, right, or insights from other people, and they should be happy for them, right? And sometimes people even have them clap or whatever. Oh yeah, congratulations. And that's an important thing to develop empathy. Now, the fourth one is equanimity. And equanimity means to see things equally and to understand that we're all the same, really. Okay? Because if we're developing empathy or we're trying to develop some kind of way to be better in our daily lives, especially in a world that is so subjectively insane, right? Then we have we have to see that we're all basically in the same ocean. Not in the same boat, necessarily. Some of us are in little dinghies, and some of us are hanging on to a bunch of plastic cups floating in the water, and some of us are in yachts. But most of us, though, we have a lot of troubles. I mean, this is the Four Noble Truths. There is suffering, right? Suffering is the truth, and that suffering has a cause, and that causes craving, right? And desire, and all these kind of extra, like really over-attachment is what it is. And then there's a way out. That's the third Noble Truth. And then the fourth Noble Truth, of course, is the Eightfold Path. So we're trying to put these numbers and these lists into action. Okay, so meditations for equanimity are really to bring up things like when is spoken about in the sutras is the Buddha talks about past lives, and he could see his past lives, very vividly and very, very easily. And we can actually too. At least you can imagine what it is like with a little bit of effort, what it's like to be a rabbit. I use a rabbit a lot because a rabbit's very simple. We have lots of rabbits here in Colorado, and we see them a lot. So I have them in the yard, and the yard they're just having a groovy old time, eating some whatever leaves or whatever it is they're eating, and hanging out with my chicken and the dog kind of chases them. But one of the things that happens is if I walk by, that rabbit ducks down and becomes completely still. That's that sympathetic. Sorry, remember we have the autonomic nervous system. We're talking about that one as well. That links into what Buddhism works with very, very well. The sympathetic nervous system. Remember autonomics, parasympathetic and sympathetic. Sympathetic is the freeze, the flee, the fight, the faint. Right. Those are the actions that we go through when we have that sympathetic overload. Now, parasympathetic, which we would like to turn on, is the resting and digesting and feeding and breeding, and those are a little bit different, right? So after you want to eat, you're going to be nice and calm, and then afterwards you're going to digest and be nice and sleepy. And then when you're breeding, of course, you have to have that because that's the problem, the parasympathetics, with things like erectile dysfunction and infertility and all those kind of things. So we work on those actually improve. So equanimity, again, so the rabbit, right? We come upon a rabbit, we see that it freezes, so it's afraid. It's afraid that we are a predator. So we have to see gosh, I don't want to be like a predator to this little rabbit. I want to be nice to this rabbit. I want to be cool and groovy and have this rabbit be nice and relaxed and be able to just kind of chill out with me because I want to be, Mr. Nature Boy, right? And so over time, they get used to you. Maybe they will. If I get too close to the rabbit, it takes off, right? If I corner the rabbit and really corner it, it may try to bite me. That's that fight. right? So we had the flight, the freeze, the flight, the fight. Now we're there. Now, if I catch it many times, they'll just go limp, and that's their kind of accepting their fate, we say, and that's that faint. Now, people, we go through the same kind of thing, but the idea with the equanimity is to understand that all animals go through that just like we do. We just go to it in weird, more complex and funky ways, right? There's different people who have different ways of going through these things, and we just need to understand that. One really good example I always give in my anatomy and physiology classes that I teach is the way back we had a bombing in Boston, and it was one of the most filmed like bombings we've ever seen. And one of the things you saw was people go through each one of those attributes of that nervous system, the sympathetics, right? Some people froze, some people fainted, some people ran away, some people ran towards it to help fight or whatever it was. And that's that part of the sympathetic nervous system. So we understand that, we can see them, we can appreciate, because we've felt those things ourselves. We can appreciate that feeling. We can appreciate how nice it is to have the food that we like and have the comfort that we are comfortable with and have the time that we can relax. And those are super important for when we're developing empathy. Right? Empathy, then we can get into compassion, is feeling the same as everybody and helping them out. And we have loving kindness, is wishing that kindness upon them and trying to understand that all of this is about understanding, right? And that's what really Buddhism, if you're bringing the Buddha home, that's what it's about, right? We're trying to make our lives better in each moment as each moment goes by. Now, some people say, well, it's all about non-duality and it's all about, what is it called? Non-duality and reaching the fifth jhana and the first jhana and all this other stuff and moksha and enlightenment and nirvana. Okay, at the end, yeah, but not now. Okay, we're not. I mean, if you're trying so hard to find this way off thing, you'll never get there because you're not doing the little steps that it took to get there. Now, even the Buddha himself talked about the steps, right? He outlined and said this many times. It wasn't about achieving this weird emancipation from all suffering immediately, although that does happen. Does it last? I don't know anybody it's lasted for. I mean, if you can give me an example of someone who's never gotten upset after that and they're just walking around in total bliss and everything's handled for them, well, great, that's good for them, but it's not our regular lives. Our regular lives are filled with change. They're filled with impermanence. They're filled with suffering of all kinds. They're filled with like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I'd like something different. I like something better. All these things, right? And that's what we have to work upon for ourselves. And each day with meditation, because meditation is the practice of this, right? It's not just about sitting down and doing nothing. Any chicken can do that. So all chickens are what? Zen masters, because they sit all day. That's not what meditation is about. And it's not about just focusing on the breath, just focusing on letting things pass by. That's mindfulness. That's just the first step. That's your warm-up. And we get so focused on that warm-up of shamatha, which is just concentration. We don't ever get into vipassana. Vipassana is insight meditation. And it's not this, it doesn't stand alone. It stands with all of this other stuff. It's a daily working occurrence. Okay, it's kind of like that little satori, that little mini awakening. Those are everyday things. And we all have access to them. We should have all access to them, right? I mean, you've definitely had that point where you've meditated. If you've been meditating, you've had a point where you've gotten to like, whoa, I wasn't thinking of anything else. But then I thought of something and I'm out of it, right? Those kind of things happen. You have an insight that's so incredible that you want to explain to people, but you can't put in words, right? You say, I got it. And you want to tell people what you got, but you can't put it into words because it's experiential. Remember, Buddhism, the practice of Buddhism, not religious practice, because that's also part of it, but that's also a deeper, you have to deeply appreciate some of those processes and the ceremonies and the little routines that we go through, whether it's the prostrations or the offerings or the chanting or the mudras or the whatever it is. We have to appreciate those in a different level. That's a deeper appreciation. And you can do it rotely and just look good. That's fine. Get some nice robes, go out and bow around all over the place and stand up and wait for people to give you snacks. But that's not the practice of Buddhism. The practice of Buddhism is practical. I'm telling you. I've been doing this for like 30 years. And the practice, the actual practice, the deep practice of Buddhism is for mental health, really. And it's to develop your mind and become friends with this, and then to be able to influence it better. And that's what we're trying to do. So the Brahma Viharas, that equanimity, we're just trying to see that we're all the same and we understand that. So when someone cuts us off on the highway, we're not so upset because we understand, like, maybe there's a problem. Maybe they have some other issues. Yeah, okay, that was a rude thing to do, but how do I let go of that, i.e. forgive, and let them just pass on? Maybe they had a phone call that their kid got hurt, and so they're trying to get to where their kid is, or maybe they had some bad burrito or something, and it's time to go to the bathroom, and their body's not going to wait, so they got to get home. So there's those kind of things. And how would you feel if it was you? Right? That's what we want to get to. That's empathy. How would you feel if it was you, and what would you do about it? Now, if we can develop that in young people, and us older people too, but if we can develop that in people, then we start to see, and when we do things like loving kindness, we have to imagine people we don't like so much. That's hard. That's the challenge. And that's what being a better Buddhist is about. I don't want to say better Buddhist really, but I mean, that's how really putting it to work means. So anyway, this is Reverend Sean over at the Center Path, and we're doing it in the office here, so you can see that's my what was that? This one right there. That's my dog Shadow. Back in the day, he was quite the teacher. That there's Paramahansa Yogananda of the Self-Realization Fellowship. So I used to have a lot of friends that were part of that. And then, of course, there it is, the Buddha looking right at us because of the 3D painting. And then over here is some signs and stuff like that I have up there for information. Anyway, I got to clean that stuff up. This is Reverend Sean. I hope you guys be good. Practice this stuff. Think about it. Let me know your comments. I'm on Reddit as Sitting Still 9. SITTING STILL 9, and I'm on Reddit for those, so you guys can ask me questions if you want to, or follow me on there, because I try to answer questions a little bit more succinctly. I also do a lot with meditation and mindfulness, because that's what I teach, and that's what I'm trying to get people to be proficient in. And there's not magic in it. I mean, we can have some magical things, some cool stuff, but it's not magical and out of your reach. This is totally achievable by you and by me and by everybody in between. Okay, so you too can be awakened, and we can be Buddha, which is awake and open-eyed without dust in our eyes. Okay, piece by piece, step by step. Good luck. Take good care. We'll talk to you soon.